Hi, welcome everybody. My name is Robin, and I really appreciate you coming out tonight. And I know this is a difficult topic, but I do know that it's a topic that has touched everybody in some way. So thank you for being here. So I'd kind of like to start by going around and just briefly introducing yourselves to the group and just let us know how divorce has affected you. Let's go ahead and start with Lily.
Okay. So, I recently got divorced about a year ago, and I have two babies. So I think the most affected are the kids because I'm also taking on their emotions. And it's been tough for me to try to, regulate their emotions, regulate mine, and just trying to be in a good headspace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for the introduction. Tiffany, how about you?
My name is Tiffany. To be honest, I'm not super excited to be here. This is my second divorce. I'm 28 and my second divorce, so this is, something that's just weighing pretty heavy on me. I feel like it's, me that's the problem, and so I guess I'm just here to hopefully just see how this goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I appreciate you being here and sharing that. Thanks for being open with that. How about you, Jackie?
Hi. I've been divorced for 30 years, and my adult children are now disclosing how my divorce has affected them throughout their lives, which I was not aware of. And my divorce was not a nice divorce. Not that divorces are nice, but mine was extremely bad. So it just brings back a lot of those memories.
Yeah, very challenging. Thanks for the intro, Jackie. How about you, Lisa?
Hello, everyone. I'm Lisa. So I'm newly divorced. I just feel like I failed. That's just how I feel. Like I failed.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for being vulnerable and in disclosing that. I appreciate it. Just a couple thoughts as we get started. Just wanted to let you know how we kind of operate the group. We really want this to be a place where we can express our emotions, we can express our feelings, and in a non-judgmental environment where we can grow closer to one another, but also a place to just really get those things out that have been weighing heavy on you as well. So in doing so, let's just respect one another. And while somebody is talking, if we could just wait our turn, and we do have the little hands up if you want to use that, or you can just put your hand up as well if there's something in the middle of something that comes up rather than interrupting. But let's just try to make this a place where we can talk about the difficult things, but really accept one another for where they are as well. Even if we may not agree with where they are or what they're saying, we can have a mutual respect for one another in this group. So I'd kind of like to start the group by asking you a question, just a little bit of an icebreaker. And the question is, when I enter a group like this, I feel, and let's finish that sentence with like one word. So let's just go around, and I feel blank when I enter a group. Liliana.
I feel nervous when I enter a group because I don't know what to expect. And it's a new environment for me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Tiffany.
I feel a little disappointed that I have to be here. And I mean, I'm nervous as well, but I just feel a little bit sad about it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Jackie, you feel comfortable going next?
Yeah. I feel like what am I doing here?
Mhm.
I feel like a bit of anxiety because I don't know what to expect.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, Lisa?
I feel anxious and depressed of having to be
Mm.
here.
Yeah, yeah. So speaking on those emotions that we just talked about, can anybody relate to something another member said? One of those emotions that another member said?
I can relate to Tiffany when she said that she feels like forgot what she said at the beginning, but you know, why am I here? Like you're sad because it happened, but you know, it's something that I want to work with.
Mhm. Mhm. Excellent.
I also relate to Lisa and like, it's just that it's just a really tough time right now. And I sort of feel like a failure as well.
Mm.
Especially this being my second divorce and being so young. I just really feel just really down.
Mhm. Sounds really
Yeah,
challenging for you right now. That sounds like a really hard season you're in. Go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Sorry. I can relate to feeling like the failure. Because I mean, my divorce was a long time ago and I went through all that, but it's again coming up with, did I not only fail myself in my marriage, but failed my children because they're now expressing their emotions about it. So yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. Excellent. Okay, well, would anybody feel comfortable just kind of starting us out a little bit and sharing a little bit about what's going on at the moment? I know we've shared briefly, but would anybody like to share in any more detail, just kind of about your story and what's happening right now?
I'll go. So as I've said, this is my second divorce. Both of my divorces were really tough. My first divorce, I was 24, got married really young, and got married at 18, my high school sweetheart. And I thought I would be with him forever. And, we quickly learned that we're not compatible people. And it was just really unfortunate to see like our relationship and like, we were growing up as we were kids when we met and growing up and becoming adults and realizing that not everything is like the movies, that, your high school sweetheart isn't always going to be the person you end up with, was really heartbreaking for me. So I waited a few years. I waited about a year until I got into my second relationship. After my first divorce, I kind of told myself that I wasn't going to fall in love again. I wasn't really looking for anything. And I found my second husband. We met at a bar, which I should have seen as a red flag in the beginning. We bonded over drinking, and it quickly turned into, this honeymoon sort of relationship that resulted in we didn't really have much in common other than drinking. And so I actually had gotten pregnant with him, and I made the decision on my own to terminate the pregnancy because I didn't feel ready for that. So that actually is one of the main reasons for our divorce, is because he resents me for that. And so we you know we just recently got divorced, and it's just been really hard. I feel like a failure, having failed 2 marriages, and I I feel like maybe I made the wrong decision with the pregnancy, and I just feel really lost.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that, Tiffany. Can anybody relate to anything that Tiffany just said?
Yes, I can. I also got married at 18, and you think that you're gonna be with someone for forever, and then, well, you continue to grow, and you guys become, basically just different people. But you continue to try to make something work because you're like, well, I got married to this person. I chose to be with this person, and this person makes me really happy sometimes. But then it just gets to a point where everything just gets so bad, you know? So we kind of decided to call it quits as well.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Lily, did you have something to say as well?
I was gonna say that I also got married young, and you just have so many expectations. You go into a marriage not really knowing how the person is gonna be because you're in that dating phase, your fairy tale, it's all painted perfectly and nice. And once you're living with the person, you're married, you guys are sharing everything now. It changes, everything is different.
Yeah, yeah. Has anybody else experienced any of that?
I have. I met my ex-husband when I was 14. We lived together for a whole year because I wanted to make sure that we would be able to be married because I didn't want to get divorced. And the moment we got married, everything changed. He became so possessive. And then he just started pulling away, going out with his friends, leaving me at home with the children. And, his own friends would tell me that he would be flirting with other girls. And it was just so disappointing because you start to feel like, what am I missing? What am I not giving him? What am I not doing? And I felt like I didn't have any more to give. It just felt like I was defeated.
Mhm, mhm. Sounds like a couple themes that have kind of reoccurred here with feelings. I've heard a couple times like feeling like a failure, guilt, feelings of guilt. Can anybody relate to those or talk a little bit more about those?
Yeah, so I just, as I said earlier, I really just feel like I've failed immensely. And I think, Lisa, you also said the same thing. It's just really hard, to put everything you have into something and it be taken away from you. And even though I don't know if I was really wanting the divorce this second time around. I guess I was, but I'm just really conflictual with everything, and it's just really hard, and I just feel like I failed myself. I failed my family. I'm I guess I'm grateful I don't have any kids, so they're not going through it as well, but it's just really tough. And with my first divorce, my family was really supportive. But now that I'm on my second divorce, I feel like they also look at me like a failure. Having gone through it twice and being so young, I just really feel like it's me that's the problem.
Has anybody else had to navigate that with family and just those feelings and feeling kind of judged by family and things like that? Has anybody been through that also?
I have. My family loved him. He paints a perfect picture of himself. He is to people in front of public. He is amazing. And behind closed doors, he is the opposite. And I'm very headstrong, independent, in charge, and we conflicted a lot because he, our culture is the man is the head of the household. He was Mormon, so that even makes it worse because his religion is very patriarchal, and we had a lot of conflict. I was supposed to just take in whatever he shoveled and not question him because he's the man. And I don't know if it had anything to do with our generational beliefs, before it's like you don't say anything, you keep everything to yourself. And, so when I had enough, I didn't have any support from anybody. My family still talk to him. He still calls my mom, and that pisses me off.
I can relate to you a lot, Jackie, with the patriarchy sort of idea. I was raised by a really strong woman who's the head of the household. So going into my marriages, both of them, I sort of have that head of the household mentality that I want control over at least myself, and my roles in my house. But and I don't know if it's all men or what, but at least the two that I ended up with were very opposite of that and kind of expected me to play housewife, and that's just not who I am as a person. And no matter how many conversations I had with them about that, it always led to conflict and arguing, and it just, it was just really, I just can't be with a man like that.
Anybody else? Can anybody else relate to what's being said?
I can relate to what Jackie was saying about how in public, they paint a picture and behind closed doors is something completely different. I was married with my husband for 5 years, recently divorced. He was amazing, the first few months, and then even behind closed doors, he was amazing. But, once we got married and, kids started playing in the picture, it just became different. It was really different. He was a totally different person. He more controlling, abusive, and enough is enough, and you just have to say, I'm done, because you feel defeated. There's nothing else you could do. And I don't want to put my kids through that. So that's why I said, okay, you know what? We need to get a divorce. I know it's going to hurt for a while, but I'd rather hurt for a while than hurt forever in a marriage that is not going to serve me any good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. There's a lot of feelings that come from a divorce. You've mentioned some of them. I mean, there's a lot of guilt. There's also grief that comes from a divorce, grief and loss, and all the feelings that go along with that, along with anger and just fear. And, what am I going to do now? Anxiety. How am I going to provide for my family? How am I going to do all these things? Feelings like loneliness or shock. You didn't think you would be in this situation, things like that. Do any of those emotions kind of surface as I'm talking about those?
Yes, definitely, like shock, just not really understanding sometimes like where it all went wrong. Like I think how everyone else was saying, like everything is okay. It's more like you're in a honeymoon phase for a while, and then just realize that it's all just kind of gone away, and then you're kind of just stuck with like, okay, you want to keep working at something because you're committed to something, and I was taught never to really like just just to give up or anything like that. So I worked at it for 7 years. I worked on it for 7 years, and I just realized, like, you know what, like enough is enough. Like how Lily was saying, like enough is enough. Like I'd rather just be sad for a while or really miserable for a while, and then just find a way to pick myself back up again, and maybe maybe I won't get married again, but at least I'll be better by myself than when I was with him and how he treated me.
Yeah, I'm scared of that though. That idea of being alone forever scares me. But I don't think I'll ever get married again, and I think marriage is overrated at this point. And I just, I don't know. But it scares me to think that I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life, and if I couldn't make it work twice, then maybe I'm just meant to be alone forever. But I don't know. This
Tiffany, let's land on that just a little bit. So what scares you about being alone?
loneliness. I don't have kids. I kicked the bucket with that one. And my family and our relationship has really gone downhill since my second divorce here. And I don't have a lot of friends because my ex-husband was really controlling and made me push all my friends out of my life. And so now I lost all those relationships and all those connections, and I just kind of feel like I don't have any connections right now. And I don't know how to make friends anymore. And it just scares me, just because I don't know.
Yeah, can anybody relate to anything that Tiffany just said?
I feel like sorry, go ahead, Jackie.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go on.
Oh, sorry. I
You guys
feel
are
like
such a nice group.
I feel like the loneliness part of it, it's just that, I got used to having somebody to talk to every day. Somebody who I shared my feelings with. Like you said, friends were pushed away. So, and trying to get those friendships again, to make those connections again, it's difficult because you're in a different headspace. And you're just feel like you're so damaged from like what already happened, to where if you make the same connections again, it's going to be a reminder. So I that's where I struggle, but that's where I'm struggling right now.
Thanks for sharing. Go ahead. I think somebody else is going to join in on that one.
At first I was afraid of being alone, especially, the Bible says that, we're supposed to have a partner, and that was the biggest part of failing that hit me. As time went by and I realized that my picker is broken, and, I had 2 other relationships that failed in the same way. I decided that I was going to take the time to fix myself, or to work on myself, or so I threw myself in work, raising my kids, going to school. And here we are almost 30 years later, and I refuse to get in a relationship. And now that my children are adults, and there's a chance that my children will one day leave the nest and I will be alone, it terrifies me. But I also find myself angry because he's since remarried. He actually got married a week after our divorce was final. And I witnessed everything he promised me, he gave to her.
Mhm.
So to me, it's like, what? You promised me all that and you give it to somebody else? What's wrong with me that I don't deserve that? You can do it for someone else, but you couldn't do it for me. And you put me through all of this to give it to someone else. So I find myself not trusting men. And whatever they say is BS.
Amen, sister.
So that's my struggle.
Thank you, Jackie. Thanks for sharing that. Anybody else relate to that? I know Tiffany does.
I'll agree
Anybody
to
else
that.
relate to that?
I'll agree to that.
Yeah. So that has been another thought that's come up a few times, is just kind of feeling broken. And, do you think it's possible to feel whole after divorce?
I would say no. No, I still feel very, like like I said, I was with someone for 7 years. So after being with someone for so long, like sometimes it's like, oh, like I miss being with that person, just because I just got so used to that person being there. Even though that person was treating me shitty and I felt horrible with them, like it's still someone that was there. And like I wasn't lonely like I'm feeling right now, and I'm feeling so broken, and I feel like I failed. And yeah.
I agree. I feel like being married to somebody for so long, or even, just briefly, they still take with them a part of you because you gave them part of you, if not your whole entire self to them. So yeah, I don't think it's possible to feel whole again.
For me, with my first divorce, I was shattered, obliterated after my first divorce. And I never actually felt whole again until I found my second husband, and he filled that void for me. And I thought that I felt whole being with him, and then all of that just coming to an end, and losing that as well. Now I'm worried, because now I don't want to be remarried, and I don't want to find someone else. So I don't know how that void is going to be filled if I don't have someone to fill it. I don't know how I'm going to do it by myself.
I feel like I don't want to compromise myself because I gave so much and got nothing in return. And feeling how my divorce broke my kids as well is heartbreaking and opening up wounds that shouldn't. But at the same time, I feel like I'm worth love. That we have to have the hope that someone is out there that is not going to break us again. When? I don't know. So I don't know. A part of me still has hope, but I still fear taking the risk. I don't want to take the risk anymore. So I can resonate with Tiffany when she says that she doesn't want to do it anymore, because I don't either.
And it is interesting how emotions can walk parallel with one another. So you can have hope and at the same time be afraid. You can have these parallel opposing emotions, seemingly opposing emotions. So let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about some of those emotions that pop up, whether good or bad. What have you kind of experienced in this let's just go with the last week. Let's keep things current.
Well, in the last week, I've felt honestly a little relieved that it happened, just that I was able to get out of it. And yeah, that's mainly what I've been feeling right now, just a little relieved. And I was able to do this, to look this up and find other people that are actually going through what I'm going through. And I'm just trying to find a way to just feel better about myself, and just trying to get through the days, literally.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
I'm kind of, this last week was really hard for me. The divorce just finalized, actually 1 month from the day after tomorrow. So, it's very recent. And I've just with this, that 1 month mark kind of coming up this week has been really tough. But I agree with Lisa. that it is nice to be surrounded by people who are going through the same thing. Because we tend to, I tend to isolate myself, and I don't really like to branch out and talk about my feelings. So it is kind of nice to have some people who I can relate to.
Has that been helpful for you guys? I know maybe it was Liliana who brought it up earlier, but said it was easy to keep things to yourself. And so is it nice to do you feel supported in a group like this where you have an understanding of one another, and do you find that helpful?
I feel like it's helpful knowing that other people, I'm not alone. And there's that encouragement that, it does get better at some point.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent. Yeah, so speaking on the issues of divorce, and I know a couple of you have mentioned children, and Tiffany, it might be a little bit harder for you because I know you are in a different situation, and thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable. How has this been, navigating that whole area of children and family? Let's kind of go that route for a little bit.
So I have two kids. My daughter's 6, my son is 3. So, my daughter, she knows everything. She's smart. She can figure it out. So it's pretty tough trying to explain to her because she wants to know. But there's some things that you just can't tell children just because you don't want to hurt them. But then I also don't want to keep it from her at the same time because I feel like she knows, but it's tough because I don't want to see them, suffering or missing their dad because of our divorce, or because it was me who said, it's enough. But I also didn't want to see them suffering because I kept taking all the abuse, the control and the controlling, and it's hard. It's just really hard.
Thank you. Does anybody relate to that?
My daughter resents me for the divorce. They had to go back and forth from one household to the other. And it got to the point where she would miss summers with her friends or couldn't plan anything during the holidays because we had to alternate holidays. And she resented that. She resented the time that she was away from her dad because she was a daddy's girl. A very good liar. So he filled her head up with a lot of things. And I refused to speak ill of him because he was, he's still their father. And I didn't want my children to have to pick a side. But that was put into their heads. My son was more supportive of me and the issues that happened. Now that they're adults and I can speak to them about the situation, and a lot of things came to light that they weren't aware of. My daughter resents me more because I didn't confide in her. My son doesn't talk to his dad because, he cheated with the babysitter. So, it's rough because divorce isn't only when dad or husband and wife. It affects the whole entire family. Like I told you, my family love him. They still talk to him, and I feel betrayed by that. Because they're my family, they should be supportive of me and what what he put me through. But I learned to set boundaries. I felt like I had to be civil with him to be able to have a decent relationship with my children. And, it was hard because his wife wanted to be a part of that also. And I'm like, no, you have your own kids. These are mine. You don't have a say. So there was a lot of conflict.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Jackie. Anybody else relate to anything that Jackie's been talking about?
I feel like I would be scared of resentment from my children. That's why I don't know if, she's only 6, but do I
Mhm.
keep things from her, or do I, go ahead and explain it to her in a manner where I'm not, it's not adult talk, it's more like a kid's talk.
Mhm.
Because at the end, I don't want her to blame me, just me. Maybe it was me, and it's marriage is for 2 people. There's 2 people in a marriage. So but at the end, it wasn't, I wasn't abusing him. I wasn't controlling him.
Mhm.
So I think I'm just scared of that resentment build up from the kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's hard to tell them that there was abuse because you fear them seeing their parent in a different light
Yeah.
or being afraid of them.
Yeah.
So how do you explain it? And that's what I try to explain now to my children. Like,
Mhm.
I wasn't going to tell you that your dad was out flirting with other girls every time that he stepped out of the house,
Mhm.
that he neglected us as a family.
Yeah.
How would I tell you that in a good way? There is no good way. And you were too young to understand that. I wasn't going to take your dad from you. I wasn't going to paint your dad as a monster, because
Mhm.
then what kind of person am I? You
Yeah.
know, as long as the abuse wasn't towards my children, because like I told him, you were a great friend because we were best friends. You were a good boyfriend. You're an awesome dad because you always put the children first. But as a husband, you suck.
And Jackie, you're bringing up a great point, like how I think what you're talking about is something that most people experience as they go through a divorce, is trying to navigate life and what to say to other people, what not to say, how to set those boundaries, with people who want to know too much information, whatever that is. How have you, not just you, Jackie, everybody in the group, how have you managed to effectively navigate through those situations?
I don't think I have.
Hmm.
The last thing I want to talk about is getting divorced. And now that I've gone through it twice, it just feels like insulting almost. So, when I hang out with people, I don't, unless it's family and I talk about it with family, but then I feel like they're not on my side. But with others, I don't talk about it. I don't tell people, I'm going through a divorce or whatever, because honestly, quite frankly, it's not their business. It's my business. So I just kind of deal with it on my own. This is the first interaction I've had where I'm talking about divorce, and it does feel good to talk about it. But I don't know if I would be able to talk to other people about it, because they just don't understand.
Sure. Has anybody else had to navigate that with others?
It's fairly new for me still, so I'm still trying to navigate it with my family right now, because they also did love him because he painted a different picture.
Mhm.
But he is the father of my kids, and he's friends with my brothers. So it's not like I can just, have him disappear from my life, because it's not possible.
Mhm.
So the topic's going to come up, and I just don't know how to go about it. And that's another reason why I'm here, because I'm trying to navigate, that divorce process and the recovery, and, how everything's going to play out at the end.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like you have a good support system through this? I mean, outside of the group?
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not. No.
Mhm.
It's
Tiffany, I
kind
know
of
you just said
strange.
that too. Yeah. I'm sorry about that.
It's kind of strange because there's people, like in a divorce, there's 2 sides. So there's
Mhm.
people that take his side, people that take your
Mhm.
side, and those that take your side will be the first to say what an ass, you know. or
Mhm.
I'm, don't feel bad. It was, all his doing. And his side will talk bad about you and say, you're the one at fault. But there's always a sense of shame with the word divorce, like, and then the worst part about it is, when you have to fill out an application or something, and, I was once told, you're not single, you're divorced. You're going to be divorced for the rest of your life. And, I don't want that title. I don't want that big D on my forehead. I don't want to be that person. So to me it was like, why am I considered divorced for the rest of my life? That's not my identity. I am single. And that's how I live my life. I don't live my life as a divorced woman. I did that for many years because I carried the shame and the anger and the pain and the whole, even though he was at fault for cheating, I still felt like I failed because it was something that I did not give him or something that I not do as his wife. It sucks to have to wear that divorce title for the rest of your life.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I think stepping out in a group like this is kind of the first step toward healing, and just having people who understand you and realizing that all of you have experienced many of the same emotions, and you're not alone. And a lot of times when you're by yourself or in your head and really struggling, you can feel like you're alone. And so I think it's really good in a group like this to understand that you are not alone. And so thank you for being brave and stepping out and making the first step towards healing and joining a group like this. So we will be meeting at the same time next week, and we'll just continue on. And as we leave, I'd like to end on a positive note. And so let's just go around and think about this week, this upcoming week, and let's just share what we are most looking forward to this week. So anybody who wants to jump in, go ahead.
I'm looking forward, to calming myself down a little bit and getting in a better headspace, because knowing that I'm not alone and, we all share a similar story of some sort. I hope that, it does get better for all of us at the end.
Excellent.
I'm looking forward to getting over that 1 month hump in the next few days. I feel like I'll feel a lot better once I get a little bit past that point. So I'm looking forward to getting through that and hopefully just working on my mindset.
I'm looking forward towards I was actually able to reconnect with some of my old friends. So I'm looking forward to seeing them and kind of just talk to them and really relate to them of what I was really going through, and this was like my first step. Like I wanted to try to do this in order to, be able to tell people that I actually, that I've known for a really long time, the things that I was dealing with and how horrible it really was for me.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to not carrying that divorce title.
Excellent. Thank you, Jackie. Thanks to all of you for being vulnerable in that. This week, I'll go ahead and add mine to it. Mine's similar. I'm looking forward to reconnecting with a friend and just spending a little time enjoying a cup of coffee with a friend that I haven't seen in a long time, just to relax a little bit and reconnect. So thank you all. Thank you for sharing your hearts, and thank you for your support to one another that you offered today. So I'll look forward to seeing you all next week.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.